She waits, patiently and silently. A small hum in her throat, the song her mother taught her so she can calm her breath. Her eyes catch the slight movement. Whatever has encroached upon her home has made a mistake. Slowly she lifts her hatchet, taking aim at the being crouched and hiding. She lets it fly with all her strength. As it whips through the air, whistling loudly, she hears the man scream as he falls to the ground. She smiles and hums a little louder as she walks over to collect her prey. I'm convinced the Huntress was designed by someone who had a simultaneous fetish for cod hatchet shots and Russian women, and if I was a game developer, I would be that person. In any case, the Huntress as a killer I feel like doesn't get talked about very often, despite the fact that some of the most impressive clips in DBD come from Huntress mains. Hexed GG, Squirtle Surgeon, and Coconut RTS are all insane players who post clips that make people go, "What the fuck? You can do that?" Orbital shots are one of the single most impressive things someone can master in this game, but again, no one really talks about her. And it's a shame, because in my opinion, she's one of the best designed killers in the game. I once made a video calling her one of, if not the, most balanced killer in the game, but the question is, do I still feel that way about her? Well, as you all know, I like to go beyond that. So today, we are going to take a look at everything: her lore, themes, power, gameplay, perks, add-ons, and more. Check the time codes on your screen or in the description so you can jump to the parts that you're interested in. A quick reminder that this is a largely auditory experience, so if you're looking to just throw this on a second monitor, on your phone, or whatever, as background noise, then feel I can't fucking talk this morning. Then feel free to do that. And let's jump right into Anna, otherwise known as the Huntress. I'm beginning to notice a pattern with the lore of Dead by Daylight killers, and maybe this will be improved upon in later entries, but every single lore of the past 5 killers I've taken a look at has been missing something. What that thing is, I can't tell you. Every single lore story feels incomplete in some way, as if there's some paragraph or sentence or event that's missing. My best guess is none of these lore bits explain how the killer got into the fog in the first place. We know that you don't have to die to enter the fog from later entries, but up until this point, we don't even know if there is a fog to lead these fuckers into. Whatever this missing thing might be, I can say that Anna's lore feels the most complete out of the 5 so far. Anna was a forest dweller with her mum after her dad was killed by soldiers. She loses her mum to an elk, which is excellent foreshadowing for a skin down the road that I'm sure they 100% planned. Still a child, broken and alone, Anna raises herself to become a fierce hunter and killer. Everything and everyone is her prey, except for little girls that she finds. She takes them in, but they all die because they refuse to eat, so they are scared of the monstrous woman who longs for a child of her own. Her tome doesn't shed much more light on her history, instead telling a tale of her taking down battalions of soldiers who invade her forests. It's a badass story, but it doesn't really add anything to the character. I feel like in these early days, Behavior was more worried about creating lore for the purposes of having lore over creating interesting and engaging characters. They didn't want to tell the story to shape a personality, they just felt like a game like this needed lore, so that's what they did. And the more I look back on it, all the more it makes sense. Trapper randomly having an obsession with bears, Philip magically appearing in the States, Billy having an entire town of psychopaths, Sally apparently both choking and injecting her victims, and finally Anna just having a tragedy about her father wrapped in some Rambo-ass story about her killing tons of soldiers. It's so completely baffling as things are constantly inconsistent, unexplained, or just there for the sake of being there. I can only hope that this improves over time, but for now, I'll give Anna's lore a 3 out of 5. It's perfectly fine for what it is. Oh, and stop saying she has the mind of a child. I don't know where you crazy asses got that from, but she's quite literally a grown adult, capable of reason, logic, and common sense. You absolute weirdos. If you're a fan of audio horror stories, then check out my second channel, where I write, voice, and produce my own original stories, released every single Sunday, so you can go to bed with your creeps at night. Link is in the description. I grow increasingly tired of Behavior's addiction to add-on design that are just parts of a power. Shafts, belts, and hatchet heads make up the bulk of the add-on design for Huntress. There are a couple of things from her life, the wooden fox, flower babushka, and a bracelet, and I do like how one of the add-ons is a fungi she uses to poison the hatchet. But I wish there was more. I really liked how the nurse's add-ons told a sort of miniature story and looked deeper into the nurse as a person. Outside of terrible add-on aesthetics, though, the Huntress themes are absolutely fucking, for lack of a better word, killer. The way she runs towards you, swings her axe, aims her hatchets. I love the lullaby warning of her incoming approach, and I love how, as the match goes on, her lullaby becomes more and more broken as she begins to crack the calm facade as the hunt excites her. It's the little details like this that really bring the atmosphere together. Even her Mori isn't that bad. I would have much preferred one where the survivor maybe tries to make a break for it and she launches a hatchet into the back of their head, but the axe to the body and then to the face before it gets stuck and she has to pry it out is brutal and interesting. Of course, we can't talk about the themes of the Huntress without addressing the recently released Were-Elk skin. The second ever visceral skin added to Dead by Daylight has become something I'm surprised more people haven't spoken about as a form of controversy. Before that though, I want to say that I love this skin from front to back. It tells a compelling story through its visual design that this creature either killed the Huntress or it is the Huntress transformed, quite possibly by the same elk that killed her mother, or maybe it is her mother. An even more interesting spin. I love the sound design, I love the brutal as fuck Mori, but we need to talk about the price real quick. Naughty Bear released at only $15, meanwhile the Were-Elk released at $17. That $2 increase doesn't seem like much, but remember, you can only buy Oryxels in $5 packs, so that $2 increase instantly becomes a $5 increase at minimum. And let's not forget that this game is not only pay to play, but every single DLC also costs money. I've long held that the cosmetic prices in this game need a global reduction, and the fact that this skin costs so much more than a previous skin of the same rarity is, simply put, bullshit. And I am fearful behavior will continue to release these skins at increasing prices. All that being said, I will give the themes of the Huntress a 4.5 out of 5. The add-ons being disappointing and the Mori is good, but could be better is what keeps this just short of a perfect score. I had a hard time figuring out how to start this section. Unlike the previous videos, I don't have any strong feelings one way or the other about the Huntress and her gameplay. Is it fun to chuck hatchets and hear the flesh squish of a successful shot? Yeah, it's loads of fun. Predictions, long shots, and orbitals are all satisfying and make my dopamine-deficient brain produce the happy chemical. But at the same time, I don't get the same rush from Huntress that I get from playing Billy, Blight, Slinger, Oni, or even Freddy, my top 5 most fun killers to play as of writing this video. It's kind of similar to her backstory. It's good, but it's not so good I'm gushing. It's not bad, but I feel as if there's something missing. There's something small, and I don't know what, that stops Huntress from being amazing, as opposed to just a little fun. The Huntress's power is the hatchet throw. You start the trial with 7 hatchets, which you can reload at any time from lockers. Hold right-click to ready a hatchet, and the longer you hold the hatchet, the faster and straighter it travels. Hatchets fly in an arc, depending on how long you hold them and how high you look. There's a lot of geometry involved with the Huntress that leans heavy on your experience. There's no real way to teach how the arcs work. You can be shown over and over again how players like Squirtle, Hex, Coconuts, and more do their shots, but you'll never truly be able to do those same shots until you take the time to learn them. In terms of skill floor, I'd say the Huntress is pretty medium. It's not easy, for sure, but you can learn some pretty basic shots pretty quickly and get plenty of value from the character. However, her skill ceiling is fucking massive. The amount of ways you can gain value from this power is insane. She's one of the few killers with a map-wide power that's dependent entirely on how good you are with her, and also a little bit of map reliance as well, of course. She's also not add-on or perk reliant, which is a great point in her favor. You can play perkless and add-onless Huntress and do fairly well. Her power allows for fast chases and decent anti-loop. It's not perfect anti-loop, of course. Tall walls and long loops are hard for her given she only moves at 110% speed, which is very slow for killers. She also suffers on indoor maps, mostly due to the amount of sharp angles and massive amounts of cover the maps provide. Couple that with her 40-meter lullaby and you have a character who can and will be noticed, despite the fact that her terror radius is only 24 meters. With that in mind, let's move on to perk recommendations. As a primary M2 killer, stay away from anything reliant on M1s. Your biggest strengths are going to be information and undetectable perks. Because your lullaby is so freaking huge, oftentimes undetectable can help you in more ways than you think. Just because survivors know you're within 40 meters, it doesn't mean they will run away immediately. It means they will wait till they see the smallest hint of the terror radius, and this is greatly impactful. Information as Huntress is your greatest tool. You have the potential to cross map, but even without it, your hatchets fly quite fast on a full charge, and aura reading perks make predictions easier. Some interesting perks to mention would be enduring, which is there because you can hatchet over pallets, and the lesser stun times can sometimes land you a hit the survivors weren't expecting. Blood favor and crowd control are hexes, which normally I wouldn't recommend because you aren't good at defending hexes, but cutting serves off from resources makes landing shots far easier. In-game perks like No Way Out and Remember Me see surprising use as your snowball potential, especially with 7 hatchets, is immense. Avoid most hex and gen kicking perks as you really want to avoid wasting too much time on them, and the only reason I didn't put Pentimento with Plaything like I normally do is because your slow-ass walking speed will prevent you from effectively relighting totems. As for playing against her, I'd say the experience has gotten far more frustrating since they increased her ammo count to 7 as a base. Multiple times I will dodge 6 hatchets just for the 7th one to down me, and it feels really bad. Her zoning is also incredibly strong, as with 7 hatchets she can just keep throwing and moving you closer and closer to where she wants you. She's able to W key you down, forcing you to lose distance with every throw, and with sometimes there's fuck all you can do about it because her small breather period between hatchet throws is very small. Overall, I'm prepared to give Huntress a 4.0 out of 5 for power and gameplay. Good, but not great. Fun, but not amazing. Involved, but not engaging. Can't get enough daily Dead by Daylight content? Then check out my second channel, The Kaiser Extras, where I upload gameplay footage, me reacting to your Dead by Daylight clips, and more. We also have a new short that goes live every single day, so you can catch up on all the greatest clips from stream. We'll see you over there. Link is in the description. People often wonder whose perks are worse, Wraiths or Huntresses. It's an interesting discussion filled with tons and tons of I'm just fucking with you. It's Wraiths by a North American country mile. All of Wraith's perks are downright useless, only seeing play as part of Adept Wraith or by people who like to gaslight themselves into thinking Shadowborn is worth a shit. And Huntress's perks are fucking terrible, don't get me wrong, but at least Lullaby sees play from time to time if you're going for some skill check shenanigans. That being said, let's go through them. Beast of Prey is a perk, and that's all I'm really prepared to say about it, honestly. It makes you undetectable while in Bloodlust, which is less than useless. You're in chase already when Bloodlust activates, so there's negative reason for you to be undetectable. It does not help you. It does give you more blood points, but I mean, who the hell cares? You're not going to waste a perk slot for blood points. Instead, I think Beast of Prey should reduce the time for Bloodlust to activate by 5 seconds, then maybe it'll have some sort of tangible use. Hex Huntress Lullaby is a hex perk, which already inherently weakens it. While the totem is lit, miss skill check cause 6% of regression. This is coupled with an additional effect that every time you hook a survivor up to a max of 5 times, the hex gains a token and the gap between the skill check sound and the skill check appearing shrinks until at 5 stacks there is 0 warning. This is a pretty decent effect, mostly countered by paying the fuck attention, which is its biggest weakness, but its other weakness being that it's a hex perk, and therefore, by the laws of DBD, the survivors will find it regardless of where it is, even if it's in bumfuck Egypt across the river Styx in the bottom of Satan's wine cellar. Come hell or high water, they will find the fucking thing. My only proposed change is once the totem is cleansed, it keeps its stacked effect, but you can't gain any more stacks after it's cleansed. Finally, there is Territorial Imperative. While you are 25 meters or more from the basement and a survivor enters it, it activates, and then the survivor's aura is shown to you for a whole 6 meta-breaking seconds, and then the perk packs its bags, books a flight to Maui, and goes on an extensive cooldown of 45 fucking seconds. This is one of the single most useless perks in the game. Instead, it should act like Blood Warden, always showing the aura of survivors in the basement. Oh, but what would each of the tiers do? I hear you cry, and I respond with, get rid of perk tiers. They are useless. They stifle creativity, they completely put you in little boxes, and they create a whole bunch of extra work to grinding out this game for no reason. Overall, Huntress perk design gets a 2 out of 5 from me. 2 absolutely worthless perks with bullshit restrictions, and a hex that honestly doesn't even need to be a hex. Huntress add-ons follow a very similar style to Wraith add-ons, where in terms of power level, a lot of them sit in the upper tiers. One of the major flaws, however, is the fact that a few purple add-on slots are wasted. The waste on add-ons are meaningless to you, as by the time you land the hatchet, the haste is over within the breathing period of you being able to do anything. Also, you have fucking hatchets, so who cares about haste? The Mangled and Hemorrhage add-ons is also wasted. As I've discussed in the past, Mangled and Hemorrhage is not as good now that there is a timer. By the time you down and hook someone and the save happens, they will either almost have the timer up or the timer will be up. Incapacitated is the most powerful debuff, but not when it lasts 10 seconds and is always going to be applied in chase. There will never be a time where Weighted Head helps you. However, despite these flaws, there are several outstanding add-ons, like the ones that reduce the breather period after throwing, or especially the wind-up speed add-ons, allowing you to go rapid fire and air the trials out like that one D12 song. The Wooden Fox is an add-on I find quite underrated, like I said in the perk recommended section. I think many people vastly underestimate how strong Undetectable is on Huntress. The Lullaby is an indicator you're there, but the Lullaby also has no distance measurement, so you can be right on top of the survivor and they'd have no clue were it not for the terror radius. As for her Eerie add-ons, I think a lot of people undervalue Soldier Puri, which lets you move at 115 while out of hatchets. It's not amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but it allows you to get to a locker faster or confirm an M1 on the survivor you were chasing. But of course, the Eerie Head reigns in S tier. Even with only one hatchet, the ability to insta-down is just too strong, and combined with something like the Wooden Fox or the Flower Babushka, you are going to destroy survivors' morale, and their pants if you can hit orbitals. Overall, I give add-on design a 4.5 out of 5. While I would love less raw number increases, I can't deny the usefulness of most of the add-ons and the overall balance between good and bad add-ons. But behavior, for the love of God, please get rid of the haste add-ons. No one wants haste add-ons. At the end of the day, the Huntress score averages out to a 3.6 out of 5, which is a lot lower than I expected going into this video. I've always enjoyed Huntress's designs, and I still hold she's one of the most balanced killers in the game. My 3 favorite things about the Huntress would be her core gameplay, the Were-Elk skin, and the Eerie Head. My 3 least favorite things about her are her incomplete lore, haste add-ons, and the Mangled add-ons. Overall, I enjoy the Huntress, but of course, I want to know what you think, so leave your comments down below. And as always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.